Start. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So today we are going to take another teaching of the Buddha from Majjhima Nikaya. This is Majjhima Nikaya 18, Madhupindika Sutta, the Honey Ball Sutta. So now this sutta is also dealing with dependent origination, but it is coming from a different perspective. So it will be giving some practical information also for us how this is working. So I'll just start. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living in Sakyan country at Kapilavastu in Nigordha's park. So Kapilavastu was his native place, Buddha's native place. So the Buddha had gone to his native place and there were many people who knew him. So they say, no, the familiarity breeds contempt kind of a thing. So there are many who were seen him as a child and were not fully convinced about him. So one of them character is also over here. It is said in the commentaries somewhere that he was one of the relatives of the Buddha. Then when it was morning, the Blessed One dressed and taking his bowl and outer robe, went into Kapilavastu for alms. When he had wandered for alms in Kapilavastu and had returned from his alms round, after his meal he went to the great wood for the day's abiding and entered the great wood, sat down at the root of a bilva sapling for the day's abiding. So Buddha would go in the morning when there is light, when the first light comes, that is the time monks go for collecting the alms. So when they go to the alms around, after collecting the alms, they will go to one place, have their food and then do their practice. So that is what the Buddha was also doing. He went for the alms, he got the alms and then he went for the spending the day in a place where he can meditate. Dandapani the Sakyan, while walking and wandering for exercise, also went to the great wood. Dandapani was named as because he had a danda, he had a staff. Now because of this staff, because he must have some authority or something like that, he must have been given a staff or he carried a staff because of that. So that is the reason he is called Dandapani. Then he went to the great wood and when he had entered the great wood, he went to the bilva sapling where the Blessed One was and exchanged greetings with him. When this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he stood at one side, leaning on his stick, and asked the Blessed One, what does the recluse assert? What does he proclaim? So now, when you go to the Buddha, there are certain ways you can behave. One is respectfully stand, and another is you sit down. But what he did was he was leaning on his stick. So he was in a position which was very casual. So that was kind of a not a right way of kind of behaving with the Buddha. And another thing was that he was asking a question in a way that he wanted to start a fight, an argument. That is what he wanted to do. That's as he said, what does the recluse assert? What does he proclaim? So what do you teach? Kind of thing. So he was argumentative. So that's the reason he asked that. Friend, I assert and proclaim my teaching in such a way that one does not quarrel with anyone in the world. So the Buddha starts with saying that I teach in a way that there is no fight with anybody in the world. Why there is no fight? Because the Buddha is asking you to try and see. Ehipasiko, that is like come and see. If it works for you, then it works. If it does not, it does not work. But you have to try. So there is nothing philosophy. There is not saying that something which is offered in the next world or after death you will get this and that. That is not. So that all those can go into philosophy. But what the Buddha is saying, what is immediately effective as per the Buddha? What is immediately effective is if your mind has unwholesome, you know there is unwholesome. If there is wholesome, you know there is wholesome. That is the immediately effective. So what you can do when it is unwholesome? 6 hours. So that is what you can do. So then it is immediately you can do something about it also. So immediately you know what is there. So that is what he is saying, that I do not quarrel with anyone in the world. So now he is giving a description of the world also, with its gods, that is devas, its maras. Maras is, as I told you, customer retention team of samsara. So that mara is also the one. Then its brahmas. In this generation, which is recluses and brahmins, its princes and its people. So there are kings and there are the people who are there, the subjects. In such a way that perception no more underline that Brahmin. Perceptions are how you perceive things, and everything we do, perception underline whatever we are thinking. If we are see a food, say ice cream, so there will be varying amount of interest in that ice cream. If you put say a very spicy thing, there will be varied amount of, some people will like it a lot and some people will not like it, some people will say it is okay, some people will hate it. So that perception is underlying whatever we are doing. So now Buddha is saying perceptions no more underline that Brahmin. Now the Brahmin's word is used as a synonym for a Arahant. I told you about Naga also, that is also word used for Arahant. Now Brahmin also is used for a Arahant. Over here what he is referring to is not the caste, but he is saying that the person who has attained Arahanthood. So he says that in a such a way that perception no more underline that Brahmin who abides detached from sensual pleasures. So if there is an Arahant, what happens is he is not connected to any sensual pleasure without perplexity. And if there is an Arahant, he is not having any doubt. He is very clear in whatever is there. So there is no confusion in that person. Shorn of worry. Then that Arahant is not with worry also. He does not worry about anything. Free from craving of any kind of being. So he is also free from any kind of craving of being. Means he does not want to become anything. So what happens is, how does the rebirth happen? Because there is a wish, there is a craving for something to happen. And when that remains, then the rebirth can happen. So even if a subtle wish is there to become a Brahma, then also you cannot become an Arahant. So also you can become an Anagami, but you are not becoming an Arahant because just that subtle wish is there. So that wish is there. So now there is free from craving of any kinds of being. And shorn of worry means there is no worry the monk is doing. So one of the examples is given in another sutta where the one monk comes to the Buddha and says that I want to go to such and such place to teach. The Buddha says they are very rough people. They are very wild people. They may kind of abuse you. So he said that I will be happy that they are not throwing mud at me. So Buddha said they may throw mud at you also. So then the Arahant says, I will be happy that they are not throwing stones at me. So they say they will throw stones also at you. So then I will be happy they are not beating me with sticks. So he says that they may beat you with sticks also. So then he said, I will be happy that they are not kind of hitting with knives. Kind of they are not poking with knives. Buddha says that they may also kind of hit you with a knife also. So then the Arahant says, then I will be happy that this body which is giving me so much dukkha is ending. So there is no worry of that also for a Arahant. There is no kind of worry. He does not worry about the body also going. And I showed you an example of the person, a teacher who thought he was a Arahant. And how did he find out? Because he was afraid. And there is fear which is there. Then he knows I am not an Arahant. There is no fear in an Arahant which is there. So that is what he is saying, that kind of a person which is there. So now what happened is, he understood, Dandapani understood that Buddha does not want to have an argument. There is no argument possible over here. So when this was said, Dandapani the Sakyan shook his head, waggled his tongue, and raised his eyebrows until his forehead was puckered in 3 lines. Then he departed, leaving his stick. So he was like, now I cannot have an argument with the Buddha, and then he left. Then when it was evening, the Blessed One rose from the meditation and went to Nigordha's park, where he sat down on a seat made ready for him and told the students what had taken place. Then a certain student asked the Blessed One, "But Venerable Sir, how does the Blessed One assert and proclaim his teaching in such a way that he does not quarrel with anyone in the world with its gods, its Maras and Brahmas, in this generation with its recluses and Brahmins, its princes and its people? And Venerable Sir, how is it that perception no more underline the Blessed One, that Brahmin who abides detached from sensual pleasures, without perplexity, shorn of worry, free from craving for any kind of being?" So how does that happen? Students, as to the source through which perceptions and notion born of mental proliferation beset a man. So what is he saying is perceptions and notions. So whatever the perceptions is there and notions are there, born of mental proliferation. Mental proliferation is our thinking. Our mind has many thoughts are there. So how does that thought come? There is one thought becomes two, two becomes four. We think about anything. We think about an elephant. We think about that story about the elephant which is there. Somebody thought it was a wall. These walls are a strange color. I wanted to color my wall in this, and then this thing happened, and then from the elephant we are there in some other story. So that is how the mental proliferation there. That is the expansion of all the thoughts. And sometimes the thoughts are about, he told me this. Maybe he means this. I think he is planning to do this, and then there is a big story we are making. That is the mental proliferation. So students, as to the source through which perception and notions born of mental proliferation beset a man, if nothing is found there to delight in, means if you get a thought, you don't delight in, you don't find it good, you don't find it interesting. Welcome and hold to. You don't hold on to that thought. Okay? Or welcome that thought. This is the end of the underlying tendency to lust. So, when what we said about the meditation, when you are doing the meditation, if you have a distraction and you 6 hours, 50 times you 6 hours and 50 times you come back, you are doing the meditation. What is the time when you are not doing the meditation? The distraction comes and you stay with that distraction. So that is what he is saying, that when the thought comes, you don't find it anything to hold on to. Welcome and follow that. Then that is the end of lust, of the underlying tendency of aversion. So wanting and not wanting. Of the underlying tendency to views. All the ideas and everything is also thoughts. This is good, this is bad, this is this way. All the ideas and views. Of underlying tendency to doubt. Of the underlying tendency to conceit, of the underlying tendency to desire for being. Somebody wants to become something, somebody wants to become an IAS officer, somebody wants to become something else. So all these desires which are there of being. And then somebody wants to be a Deva, somebody wants to be a Brahma, somebody wants to be something. So all these things are there, being are there. So whatever you want to be, that is the end of the underlying tendency to ignorance. So if you are letting go of this 6-houring, you can go till Nibbana. Because end of ignorance is the kind of the full knowledge. If you have full knowledge, you have reached. So that is leading to Nibbana. So there is just letting go of that thing. We think it is a very small thing. Okay, I am 6-houring. But that is leading you to till Nibbana. The Buddha is saying himself that it is the underlying tendency to desire of being. That is, there is no rebirth of the underlying tendency to ignorance. This is the end of resorting to rods and weapons. You don't fight, you don't use weapons of quarrels, brawls, disputes, recrimination, malicious words and false speech. Here this evil, unwholesome state cease without remainder. So if you are doing 6 hours, then you are avoiding all of this. So in your life also, whatever is coming, you can 6 hours. Whatever unwholesome is coming, you can 6 hours. And let go of all those thoughts. And then all the things which are there, you can put your attention on wholesome things which are there. So wholesome things Buddha is giving, that is the loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy and equanimity. That is what we are seeing, that we, automatically that is arising in your practice. You don't want to know, but there is joy arising. But sometimes there is just a very balanced mind is arising. Nothing is there. That is automatically arising. Because when the mind is ready, all the factors are there, causes and conditions are in line, that thing arises. You don't even need to wish for it. That because causes and conditions are in line, those things arise. That is what the Blessed One said. Having said this, the Sublime One rose from his seat and went to his dwelling. Then, soon after the Blessed One had gone, the students considered, now friends, the Blessed One has risen from his seat and gone to his dwelling. After giving a summary in brief, without expounding the detailed meaning. Now, who will expound this in detail? So, the Buddha has given it in short. So, he has not expanded. So, now they are saying, what will we do? So, they did not ask questions. Okay? That's the reason also you have to ask questions, because then if you have any doubt, this can be cleared. So, they did not ask questions, so now they are confused what to do. So, then what they decided is, now, who will expound this in detail? Then they considered the Venerable Mahakachana is praised by the teacher and esteemed by his wise companions in the holy life. So Mahakachana was the foremost monk to expand the teachings of the Buddha. If the Buddha is given in brief, he can expand. So he was the foremost. That's the reason they said that maybe we will go to Mahakachana. He is capable of expounding the detailed meaning. Suppose we went to him and asked him the meaning of this. So they went to Mahakachana. Initially Mahakachana said that, why are you coming to me? When you are there with the Buddha and you are with the teacher, why are you coming to me and asking? Because it is like somebody wants some wood, and they go from the big tree and go on the branches, climb on the branches and trying to find wood in the leaves and twigs. So how we will find wood? He is saying that you are left the branch, the whole big trunk, and coming to me. Why are you doing this? You know. So that he asked, but they say that no, please teach us. They kind of pleaded with him, and then he kind of agreed. Surely, friend Kachana, knowing the Blessed One knows, seeing he sees, he is vision, the Tathagata. That was the time when we should have asked the Blessed One the meaning. As he told us, so we should have remembered it. Yet Venerable Mahakachana is praised by the teacher and esteemed by his wise companions in the holy life. The Venerable Mahakachana is capable of expounding the detailed meaning of this summary given in brief by the Blessed One without expounding the detailed meaning. Let the Mahakachana expound it without finding it troublesome. So they kind of pleaded. Then listen, friends, and attend closely to what I shall say. Yes, friend. Students. Yes, friend, the students replied. The Venerable Mahakachana said this. Friends, when the Blessed One rose from his seat and went into his dwelling after giving a summary in brief without expounding the detailed meaning, that is, students, as to the source through which perceptions and notions born of mental proliferation beset a man, if nothing is found there to delight in, welcome, and hold to, this is the end of the underlying tendency to lust. This is the end of resorting to rods and weapons. Here this evil, unwholesome state ceases without remainder. I understand the detailed meaning of it to be as follows. Dependent on the I and forms, I consciousness arises. So he is giving the 7 kind of link understanding of the dependent origination. Dependent on the I and forms, I consciousness arises. The meeting of the 3 is contact. With contact as condition, there is feeling. What one feels, that one perceives. So when the feeling is there, there is perception also. Okay? So there is feeling, consciousness and perception. These are all are together. They cannot be separated. They can be always together only. Because what one feels, one has to have conscious about it, no? And what is one feeling? One has to be perceptive about that. If the perception is there, the consciousness is also there. So there are all the three are together. So what one feels, what one perceives, that one thinks about. So whatever is coming as perception, that one thinks about. So over here in the list there is, after feeling there is craving, and then there is clinging. Craving and clinging causes thinking. All the things, justification and everything which comes up, that is caused by craving and clinging. So that is what he is talking about. What one thinks, that one mentally proliferates. So when he starts thinking, what happens is, one thought becomes more and more. Prapancha Sanya Sankara, that is a Pali word. Prapancha, we know in our India, there is used as a samsara, that is a synonym of samsara, prapancha. And in our Gujarati language also, when we say prapancha, he is doing prapancha, means he is making a kind of a big deal out of it. Okay, so what happens is, there is one thought, but we are making a big deal out of that one thought.
Perception, perception, when does this link comes? Whether it comes after feeling and after craving also?
Not at the time of feeling.
At the time of
when there is contact, there is feeling. When there is feeling, there is consciousness and perception over there.
Just after the feeling.
So they are all together. So they are what one feels, that one perceives, and consciousness is always there. So that is what they are saying, that okay, what one perceives, that one thinks about. What one thinks about, that one mentally proliferates. With what one has mentally proliferated as the source, perceptions and notions born of mental proliferation beset a man. So what we have think about, we kind of are become the prisoner of that. What we have thought, we have become the prisoner of that. So we have thought this is good, then we have become prisoner of that thought, that this is good. If we think this is bad, we have become prisoner of that, this is bad. So whatever thoughts have come, we have become the prisoner of that thought which has come. With what one has mentally proliferated as the source, perceptions and notions born of mental proliferation beset a man with respect to past, future and present, form cognizable by the eye. So when whatever he is seeing, so he can say, oh, this something happened in the past, something I want to do in the future. So somebody sees me as a car and say, oh, I had a car in the this past, I had such a car. Or he may say, oh, I am going to buy this car in the future. Or I want this car now. So whatever is there, he sees, he makes up some stories about the car. You know, people are so much in kind of touch or attached to certain brands. There is there was one colleague and her husband was so much attached to Ferrari that he would buy Ferrari merchandise, he would buy Ferrari keychains, he would buy this, but he did not have money to buy Ferrari. But he would be always, he had posters of Ferrari. It was just like he's all mentally proliferating. One day I'll buy Ferrari, kind of. That kind of thing which is happening. So it can be of the past, future and the present, dependent on the ear and sounds, dependent on the nose and odors, dependent on the tongue and flavors, dependent on the body and tangible, dependent on the mind and mind objects. So as I once said, that there are people who are kind of attached to all of the different things, you know. So there is one group of people in Japan who are also dependent, means they are very much obsessed with touch. So they have everything which is soft. So they have soft toys, everything, the whole of the house is of soft velvet. So there is no hard things in their house. So they are always obsessed with wearing soft velvet clothes. Their computer keyboard, everything is soft velvet. So they are kind of obsessed with this touch. So, so there can be any kind of things can be kind of real. Some people are obsessed with their thoughts only. Some people are philosophical. So then there can be anything which can get you bounded in this. So then he is calling Dependent on the mind and mind objects, mind consciousness arises. The meeting of the three is contact. With contact as conditions, there is feeling. What one feels, that one perceives. What one perceives, that one thinks about. What one thinks about, that one mentally proliferates. With what one has mentally proliferated, as the source, perceptions and notions born of mental proliferation beset a man with respect to past, future and present. Mind object cognizable by the mind. So when we are getting involved with what has come up and we are not able to let it go, then all these things will grow and then we become the prisoners of that thought. Okay? So we become, some people are right, some people are left, some people are middle politically, and some people are kind of philosophically, they believe in this philosophy, that philosophy. So all of that things which are there is all created by the mind, but we are prisoners to that, and then they cannot be moved from that. Some people are obsessed with revenge, some people are obsessed with kind of anger, some people are obsessed with different things. But when we are becoming obsessed with that, then we lose the kind of the rationality, we lose the balance which is there, and that is what happens. So that is what I is saying, that is what kind of besets you. When there is the I and form and I consciousness, it is possible to point out the manifestation of contact. So if there is eye is open, then there is a contact possible. If the eye is closed, there is no contact. If you have not seen it, there cannot be any this thing. When there is the manifestation of contact, it is possible to point out the manifestation of feeling. When there is a manifestation of feeling, it is possible to point out the manifestation of perception. When there is the manifestation of perception, it is possible to point out the manifestation of thinking. When there is the manifestation of thinking, it is possible to point out the manifestation of besetment by perceptions and notions born of mental proliferation. So over here also he is talking about the dependently originated link. All of these are also linked on one another. So when there is a ear and sound and ear consciousness, when there is a nose and odor and nose consciousness, when there is tongue and a flavor and tongue consciousness, when there is body, a tangible and body consciousness, when there is the mind, a mind object and mind consciousness. So that is possible. When there is there, then other things will be possible of that. When there is no I, no form and no I consciousness, it is impossible to point out the manifestation of concept. So now he is saying that if you are not having the I or you are not seeing it, then there is no possible of the contact arising. So he is talking about the cessation of this. So if you don't have I, then nothing happens. So wherever you stop that, then the rest of the steps are not happening. So wherever you six are, that happens. So if you decide not to see something which is making you angry, then it is not possible for you to become angry. So there is one very interesting thing which happened with Bante. He was in Malaysia, then a lady came to and said, I have nightmares in the night. So I see ghosts and all these things. And so Bante asked her, while talking, what do you watch? What is the movies or something like that? So I like horror movies. So Bante said, you like horror movies and you are getting nightmares. So stop watching horror movies. But no, I like it very much. So the Bante said that then you kind of keep having nightmares. So see, if you are seeing those things which is causing you kind of nightmares, then stop watching them, no? So then that is what over here it is saying, that if you don't watch them, then next steps are not happening. So wherever you six are this thing, that will not have, next steps will not happen. So then he is talking in one steps. When there is no I, no form and no I consciousness, it is impossible to point out the manifestation of contact. When there is no manifestation of contact, it is impossible to point out the manifestation of feeling. When there is no manifestation of feeling, it is impossible to point out the manifestation of perception. When there is no manifestation of perception, it is impossible to point out the manifestation of thinking. When there is no manifestation of thinking, it is impossible to point out the manifestation of besetment by perceptions and notions born of mental proliferation. So wherever you are letting it go, that next steps will not be possible. So you may be thinking, and as soon as you think, you 6R. Then what would happen is you are not getting trapped in that thinking. That does not become a big thing. So wherever you think there is a contact happens, as soon as the contact happens, you recognize and let go. Then there is no thinking also happening. But that will happen when the mind is very quiet. When the mind is in very quiet state, that time you will be able to see certain things, contact also. But that takes a while for meditation. Some time it takes, sometimes it takes months of practice to reach that place. So that place is, I will not say everybody to do that, but you can see craving, the tension and tightness arising. If you are in a quiet mind or you are in nothingness or equanimity, then you can at least be aware of what is happening with tension. As soon as tension arises, you are relaxing, then you will see that the mind is becoming calm. And then you will see that time where thoughts are also going away. Just you relax and that thought goes away. So that is what you can see. But if you go further in meditation, you can also see at the time of contact, when time of feeling. As soon as the feeling is there, you can see that there is something which is there, and then you can relax and let go. As I told you, there is one student of Bhante. He said that they can sit for 3 hours without any kind of mind movement, any kind of tension also arising in the mind. So that is possible, but it requires practice, and certain times it requires some karmic also, your this thing, because it is a combination of all these things. But practice more will help. When there is no ear, no sound, no ear consciousness. When there is no nose, no odor, and no nose consciousness. When there is no tongue, no flavor, and no tongue consciousness. When there is no body, no tangible, and no body consciousness. When there is no mind object, and no mind consciousness. It is impossible to point out the manifestation of besetment by perceptions and notions born of mental proliferation. Friends, when the Blessed One rose from his seat and went into the dwelling after giving a summary in brief without expounding the detailed meaning, that is, students, as to the sources through which notions and perceptions and notions born of mental proliferation beset a man, if nothing is found there to delight in, welcome, and hold on to. So that is what we are saying. Whatever arises, you have to let go. And especially when you are there in quiet mind, or when you are in nothingness, when you are in equanimity, that time when whatever comes up, you just let it go. Don't get interested in anything. If you get interested in anything, something happens. One of our students told me, I saw a light. Then I saw that I started looking at the light. That light became 2 lights. Then the light started dancing. Then we were giving many colors. And I said, what happened to my instruction of 6R? Whatever comes. We got interested in the light, and it was very like a light show they were seeing. So what you have to do is 6R. Let it go. Whatever. Don't get interested, or there will be more and more things will happen. So this is the end of the underlying tendency to lust. It is of the underlying tendency to aversion, to the underlying tendency to views, of the underlying tendency to doubt, of the underlying tendency to conceit, of the underlying tendency to desire for being, of the underlying tendency to ignorance. This is the end of resorting to rods and weapons of quarrels, brawls, disputes, recriminations, malicious words, and false speech. Here this evil, unwholesome state cease without remainder. I understand the detailed meaning of this summary to be thus. Now friends, if you wish, go to the Blessed One and ask him about the meaning of this. As the Blessed One explains it to you, so you should remember. So he sends them back to the Buddha. Okay? And they go to the Buddha and say, this is what the Mahakachana told me. So then the Buddha says that Mahakachana is wise, students. Mahakachana has great wisdom. If you had asked me the meaning of this, I would have explained it to you in the same way that Mahakachana has explained it. Such is the meaning of this, and so you should remember. So, whatever Mahakachana said, the Buddha agreed to that. When this was said, the Venerable Ananda said to the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, just as if a man exhausted by hunger and weakness came upon a honey ball. Honey ball is like shahad ka laddu. Laddu is that is like a ball, no? That is made from honey. So this is a laddu which is made from honey. It is like when it is given, say some person comes and we give him a laddu to that person who is hungry, is thirsty, and he comes and they give him a laddu. Wherever he would taste it, it would find a sweet, delectable flavor. So too, Venerable Sir, any able-minded student, wherever he might scrutinize with wisdom the meaning of this discourse on the Dhamma, would find satisfaction and confidence of mind. Venerable Sir, what is the name of this discourse on the Dhamma? As to that, Ananda, you may remember this discourse on the Dhamma as the honey ball discourse. This is what the Blessed One said. The Venerable Ananda was satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. So, this is how our mind works, and Siksar is so important. Because if you are not Siksaring, then all these thoughts and everything is creating a whole samsara. The prapancha is the samsara which we create. If you see anything in this room, that was first there in somebody's mind. Without being in the mind, it cannot come into reality. Somebody wanted to make a plastic bottle. So somebody thought, oh, this is a plastic. I can shape it in this way and I can put water in it. And then he kind of did that. Somebody wanted to make this flask. Oh, I'll make something which will keep the water warm. So everything was in the mind, no? When it was there in the mind, then it came into reality. So when you are having this mind as your tool, then you have to use it properly. You have to see where the mind is going. The second day I did the sutta, which is the Nikaya 19, no? That was what? Two kinds of thoughts. So wholesome thoughts and unwholesome thoughts. So if you keep your attention on unwholesome thoughts, what happens? All these things happen. Evil, unwholesome things will happen. If you keep it on wholesome, then wholesome things will grow. So that wholesome was what? Non-ill will, which is called metta. Non-cruelty, which is called compassion. And renunciation. What is renunciation? Letting it go. Not taking ownership of that. When we take ownership of anything, something is over here, I'll say this is my book. Just because it is over here. So that is how we take ownership. Because it is there in our mind. It is my mind. My thoughts. So that is how we are taking ownership of these things. We are not seeing the process of it. So Buddha is saying that, see, this is a process. And this process has a solution. From one, you can go to the other. So the Four Noble Truths is also, there is dukkha, there is a reason for the dukkha. Why? Because there is craving. There is an end to the dukkha. What is that? Giving up the craving. And if it was that simple, our retreat would be 5 minutes. I would have brought everybody and said, give up craving. I said, okay, give up craving. Okay, everybody arahant, and now go back home. So now that does not happen, giving up craving, but there is a way, there is a process to that. That process is called the Eightfold Path. So it starts with right view. Right view itself has the Four Noble Truths. Then right intention. So whatever actions you are doing, whatever thoughts are there, that has to match your this thing. So you put a lens, which is, I said, green lens or red lens, that the right view is put. When that is there, all intentions are in line with that right view. When it is there with the right view, right speech comes up. So you will put your speech which is there, which is right. When that is done, then what happens is right action happens. When right action happens, then right livelihood. When right livelihood is there, right practice. When right practice is there, right mindfulness. When right mindfulness is right samadhi or right collectedness of mind or concentration. So that is how it goes. So if you start with a right perspective, then everything else will happen. So tomorrow we'll go and kind of go a little deeper into this eightfold path. So I'll decide what sutta to take. I may take a simple sutta, or there is another sutta which has a lot of information. Maybe that sutta I can take. So tomorrow we will see what we take, and that will have more information for you. Okay. So any questions for this? Everybody understood? Very clear? In the meanwhile, I'll just read this. Questions. Why should one strive to attain Nibbana if it is necessary that everyone has to strive for it? See, there is no why we should strive for it. It is like if we don't know something, is it good to be in ignorance or to find out? So that is one question one person has to ask. The Buddha says that, say, if you have dukkha, then there are two ways you would react. One is, give me a solution, or you distract yourself. Okay? What is distraction? Watching movies, having hobbies, or kind of gossiping and all the other things which we do. So, some people do this and some people do that. But all that are distractions. We put distractions in our mind. Or what we do is, when the dukkha is there, we say, give me a solution. At least one word of solution, give me. That is what a person says. So that is up to oneself, that you want a solution or not. It is for oneself to decide. It is not necessary. There is nothing necessary in Buddha's teaching. Buddha does not say, you should do that. Bhante Vimalamsi used to say, there are no shoulds in Buddhism. It is, if you do this, this will happen. It is, if you do this, this will happen. If you siksar, that will go away. If you don't, then this will happen. That is what the Buddha is saying. He is not saying you should do this. He is only giving us what happens. So he is explaining us what is the reality. Then it is for us to follow or not to follow. That is what. What is awakening? How does it look like? Awakening is, see, we start with ignorance. Awakening is full knowledge. So there is no doubt which is there. That is one explanation of a arahant without perplexity. That is, there no doubt. So if you know everything, now what you know is this same thing which is happening to you. How does my mind go? Not why, but how does my mind go to this thought? How does it come back? How can I do this 6 hours? How can I stay with this my attention wherever I want to? Now when you know this fully, then that is the knowledge. That is what over here also it is saying. If you let go of that, you reach till Nibbana. So that is what, you know, all that which is happening, all the things we are getting, all the views which we are getting involved in. So I have this view, but now I understand this view, how it is. I also had a lot of views. I was also kind of following philosophies and everything. As I studied and I kind of understood, then all these views kind of melted away. There is I was following one Ayn Rand in America. There is a philosopher which is an objectivist, rationalist. So all this philosophy I was following. But now when I came to know this and I started doing this, all this came to, okay, I can understand what is that. I used to read this Reader's Digest, and there was quotable quotes were there always in Reader's Digest, one page of quotable quotes. Now I used to read that, and everything I used to find, okay, oh, this is very interesting, this is very interesting, this is not, right, this is right, this is right. But then later on, now if I read some quote, then I can say this is right or not. I like it or not. Because then I have a compass. Because I know certain things. Then I have a compass now. I can say this is okay, it's not okay. So now, before that, everything was compassless, radarless. Everywhere which was there, I used to kind of go. So that is how the mind is there, not knowing. Now knowing, I don't know everything. I also have certain attachments, cravings, aversions, all these things is there. But we are working on it, it's a work in progress. So that is what we have to do. It is to daily, every time, every moment when this arises, then you have to deal with it. And when we deal with it, we progress. Day to day, moment to moment. If you do it in this moment, the day will pass. If you do a day, then 2 days. Now it has been how many days? 5 days? 6 days have passed. 6 days have passed already. Day to day, you are doing 6 hours, 6 hours, 6 hours. And then it can be week and month and year. And then that you will find one day that you have much more ability to know what is there. So that is what awakening looks like. More and more knowing, more and more clarity in your life. How does an awakened being perceive other human beings and universe? He perceives without assertion. That is what he says. No, there is no perception underlying. So in the hearing there is only the hearing. In the seeing there is only the seeing. Okay? So there are no perceptions which are there underlying that. So whatever is seen as it is. And whatever is heard, it is heard. So there are no perceptions. So there is no perceiving. That is the point in that. Are you awakening and spiritual awakening same? Are awakening and there are no different kind of awakening. There is only one kind of awakening, and that awakening is knowing. And as we know from this teaching of the Buddha, it is not mystical. It is not magical. It is not something which we get. What we got over here, our understanding, that is a little bit of awakening. One thing you know, that when your mind is having, somebody comes and says, oh, I have many thoughts. But at least you are knowing you have many thoughts now. I never thought in that terms. 38 years of my life, I never thought in that terms. That I have unwholesome thought, I have wholesome thoughts. I never had the kind of perception of the unwholesome and wholesome. So 38 years, what was there was me. If there is anger, I am angry. If I am hungry, I am hungry. So that is what we are. We are kind of merged with that. We don't know. But when we are knowing, then we can separate all these things. That is what happens when we are having more this thing. Venerable Bhante, what should be the aim of our practice? To be born in Devaloka, Brahmaloka, or to become out of suffering? See, what the Buddha is saying is, one of the suttas which is there is very interesting. Just recently I read that sutta, which is Majjhima Nikaya 41. There the Buddha says that if that person who has merit, he does Brahma Viharas, he follows the precepts, he has merits, then if he thinks that he wants to be born as in a wealthy family, then he will be in wealthy family. If he wants to be born as a Brahmin family, he will be born in a Brahmin family. If he wants to be born in a king's family, he can be born in king's family. If he wants to be born as a Deva, earthbound Deva, he can be born over here. If he wants to born in Chatu Maharajika Deva Loka, he can be born over there. If he wants to be born in Tavatimsa Deva Loka, he can be born over there. If he wants to be born in Tusita Deva Loka, he can be born. He wants to born in the any place, even in the Arupa Lokas of neither perception or non-perception. If he wants to be born over there, he can be born over there. So that is where you want to go is up to you. So it is like I told you that somebody I was talking about. See, if you have $1 million, you can go anywhere. Okay? But if you decide to go to, say, a very simple place, then you are not using your money correctly. You have to go to whatever is the best place which is possible. You can give this $1 million and go to the space also. Okay? So that is what you have to go for, the highest. So what if you have earned some merit from this practice, or you do this practice, then you want to have the highest thing. Why would you go for the lowest? No? So that is what you have to be careful what you wish for. But if you don't have that merit, then wishing for it won't give you it. You have to do the practice and wish for the most best. So which is the highest which is there, which is the Nibbana. Have you seen any Sotapanna, Sakdagami, Anagami, Arhat? We cannot see them because we are having limited powers. I don't have any psychic power to see anyone. But Bante used to refer to some people as Sotapanna or Sakdagami, but I never kind of accepted that because Bante knew, Bante would say that, but I would say this is Bante's kind of view. And there can also be disappointment if you kind of put somebody on pedestal. If you say, oh, this is Anagami, and then he does something suspicious. And you say, oh, Anagami, but how is he doing that? Then we don't know, then we should not speculate. What Buddha says is, a very interesting thing he says about Sotapanna. There is one thing where the Buddha says, if you are following the precepts and are contemplating the Dhamma, okay, then you can yourself say that you are a Sotapanna. You don't have to go to anybody. So Buddha also says in many of the suttas where he is talking about Sotapanna that you yourself can declare yourself a Sotapanna. So there is no certificate required. We are not issuing any certificate. That or this is not. It is up to you to see and understand. Yes.
During Buddha's period, Buddha's teachings are not written down. How was it?
Buddha's teaching are not
Teachings were not in the written down.
written.
Written down. How were it collected, compiled to authenticate?
See, I have very less historical knowledge of this, but what happens is that Buddha's teaching were remembered in the time of the Buddha itself. So they were memorized. So there is a Sutta Nipatta, there is a collection of teaching. So in the other sutta, there is a Brahmin who comes to the Buddha and they praise him. Oh, this Brahmin has very good memory, he has memorized Sutta Nipatta. So that means that at the time of the Buddha's living, itself they were memorizing his teaching into a certain form of books or certain form of chapters. So Sutta Nipatta was a chapter which was there. So that is a kind of proof that such a thing was happening in the time of the Buddha itself. Then later on when the Buddha passed away, they had a meeting, council meeting, and they compiled all the teachings. This teachings was better to be compiled in memory form because scribing becomes difficult. There is 84,000 suttas. So there will be a kind of this stack of books. Now if I have to recreate that, I can make some errors. Okay, and for somebody to find out that error, all these things have to be kind of scrutinized, which will be very difficult. Some errors may kind of not be corrected for many years, and then that becomes the truth. So now when we are memorizing, this was a subject Bante Memorasi talked a lot about because he was in Burma. Because Burma there is a process of memorizing those suttas till now. I think they are called Vibhamsa. So they have a 1 month long testing process. So what they do is they call that person, the person has to, then the examiner will say, tell me this sutta from this line, and they have to recite that sutta. Then they will say stop. Now tell me this sutta from this line, and then he has to recite. He has only 3 errors. In 1 month of reciting, he can only do 3 errors. If he has done the 3rd error, the kind of exam ends. So this is one of the things Bhante said is important because if you go to some person and ask a question, then he can say from the memory. He say, Bhante asked him, there is a Kanika Samadhi which has been talked about in Vishuddhamagga. Where is there in the sutta? Then the person said that there is nowhere mentioned in the sutta, the Kanika Samadhi. There is no momentary concentration mentioned. So that is the information it is very difficult to find. If one has to go through 84,000 sutta to kind of gauge that it is not there. But if you go to somebody who memorizes it is easy to find, and it is easy to kind of recreate. And then there are some, like at the time of Goenka ji itself, there was one kind of council which happened in Burma, a World Buddhist Council. So everybody came together again, kind of they verify that everything is there in order. So there is a scrutiny process. If it is verbal, it is easier to scrutinize and say that errors can be minimized. Written happened, I think, in 400 years. In Burma, somebody started doing it in stone. And then it came to Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka they started putting it on, what is it called, Tamrapatra or palm leaves, palm leaves. They started putting on palm leaves. So that has been done, but scribing is inferior than memory. Memory is superior. That's the reason they used to keep it, and that was there at the time of the Buddha also.
Now the suttas universally accepted.
There are certain discrepancies which are there. Certain formulas are there. So like wherever the jhanas are mentioned, they are mentioned in the same formalic way. Certain things are formalic, certain things are disputed. What are the meanings of this? For that, like Bhikkhu Bodhi, certain times when you go through Kindle version of Bhikkhu Bodhi or even the book version, one word he has used. For the justification, he gives 2 pages of explanation. So he says, oh, this commentary in Agamas. Agamas was 1700 years ago. Chinese had taken that teaching from Nalanda, and they had kept it in Chinese language. So Agamas they take the Burmese version, they take the Sri Lankan version, they take the commentaries, and then they scrutinize and try to find out the discrepancies. They say that this is very much in a very good condition, the teaching. We cannot say 100%, but it's a very good condition. And Buddha also said that whatever teaching he is giving, you have to not go by one teaching. When somebody comes and says, I have heard from Buddha's word itself, from Buddha's mouth, then also don't believe or reject. See if it matches my other teaching. If it matches my other teaching, only then accept. If it is not matching, it's a unique kind of teaching, then discard. So that is also the Buddha is saying, don't kind of accept everything. Yes.
Suttas are Bible for Buddhism, I think.
It is not like Bible. It is not like Bible. It is a practical guide. So you can reject certain things which you find it not, and you can accept what is practical. Yes?
So now in the age of computer and AI, why not they are being put into the computers and everything?
I am sure they are doing it. I am sure they are doing it. I am sure somebody is working on it. Because initially 2 years back, if I ChatGPT, I asked any question about suttas, it was not very good answers. Now it gives pretty good answers. But there are certain things it is not doing. One sutta I wanted and I put something. Still, I put the context. I did not know the words. But I put the context in everything as elaborate as possible, which I knew. I knew the sutta very much well, but I did not know the exact word. But what happened is they could not find out. Then what I had to do is I had to go through the sutta one by one and figure it out. And I found out that sutta, and I saw that okay, I was using a little bit, words are different, but context and everything I had given. But that was the ChatGPT. No, AI understands the context, and that they should have found out that in my view. So it I think still needs to grow, but it is giving pretty good answers on suttas just now.
There is a AI specifically for early Buddhist teaching.
Yes.
Or Norbu AI.
Norbu. Oh, that is good. I never knew. Okay. We will try that. So they may be feeding it all the...
Early Buddhist teaching.
Okay, very good. Venerable Bhante, is it compulsory to be a Sotapanna to enter into the first jhana? No. There is no kind of need for being a Sotapanna to enter the first jhana. First jhana is a very simple thing. If you don't have the hindrances, you are entering into the first jhana. There is just, what is the thing which is there? So 5 things are not there, 5 things are there. When the hindrances are not there, you have 5 things. Thinking and examining thought is there, joy is there, happiness is there, collected mind is there. That's it. So just when your mind is there, calm, there is nothing is there, then you are in a jhana. There is nothing, there is no complicated explanation of jhana. It is that the 5 hindrances are not there. And these 5 things are there. That's jhana. Hindrances are also mentioned clearly what are the hindrances. So if that is not there, then you are in jhana. Then you experience a higher level of things also. So over here people have experienced expansion as experience. People have experienced body not feeling the body, that the disappearing of the body. All of this has been experienced by. So that is there. No? So you are sure that you are progressing also in this. As per the explanation, you are getting that experience. So this is जब forgiveness करते हैं तब एक ही लाइन के साथ रहना है या फिर चेंज कर सकते हैं. वो चेंज कर सकते हैं अगर आपको ऐसा लगता है कि वो बार बार हो रहा है, उसके अंदर कोई ऊर्जा नहीं रही, तो लाइन को चेंज कर सकते हैं. और वर्बलाइजेशन कितने देर तक करना है? ये जो फॉरगिवनेस मेडिटेशन है वर्बलाइजेशन का है. तो जब तक आप बैठते हैं वो तब तक वर्बलाइज करना है. और आपके मन में भी कुछ आ सकता है कि मैं अपने आप को माफ़ करता हूँ बहुत कठोर होने के लिए, या मैं अपने आप को माफ़ करता हूँ बहुत ही सॉफ्ट होने के लिए. जो भी आपके मन में आता है वो आप इस्तेमाल कर सकते हो. तो जो भी आपका मन में आता है, पहले तो जो लिस्ट दिया है वो इस्तेमाल करना है, उसके बाद जो भी आता है उसको इस्तेमाल कर सकते. जो भी आता है आप वो कर सकते हैं. ओके, एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस? यस.
Bhante, in general, during Dhamma talks, like some students meditate, some students actively listen. What is your advice on this?
Advice is to listen when they because meditate the whole day, they have time to meditate. But yes.
What is the purpose of perception, non-perception jhana?
There is no purpose, that is the way it is. So there is no, say, somebody has not made non-perception or non-perception, but that is the state of mind it goes to. So the Buddha is describing a state of mind.
We can get enlightenment from all other jhanas, but not that jhana.
No, that is when you are doing the contemplation. So that point which Ananda was saying was contemplating the impermanence. So that can be done in the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, till nothingness. But neither perception or no contemplation is possible. But from that also you can proceed. Like MN 111, he was in neither perception or non-perception and he went beyond. Beyond means he went into cessation. So that can also happen. But in that particular place, when there is any kind of contemplation required or observation is required, that is when neither perception nor non-perception is excluded. Because there are different ways of doing it. No? So now the practice. So now there is a contemplation practice he is talking about, that seeing impermanence in everything. Now when he is doing that, at the time of neither perception nor non-perception, not because of seeing that, because the mind has let go. That is when in neither perception or what happens, you can say, what happens is our grip on reality as we think weakens, because that is a space of neither perception nor non-perception. You cannot say there is perception, you cannot say there is no perception. That is a kind of a grey area of the mind. When you go into that mind, your grip on all that things, all your thoughts, all your views, all your concepts of permanency which is there, that can weakens.
In non-perception and perception.
Non-perception, neither perception or non-perception.
Is the Bhanga Jnana thing neither perception nor perception?
Bhanga, I don't know what the parallel is there. I am not sure. Because I have not gone through. Bhante used to say that there are certain places where I think 11th jnana or something like that. He said over here if somebody does relaxing, he can have the cessation experience. And certain times he used to kind of speculate that many people who have through this Mahasi method attained say like Deepama, he kind of speculates that maybe she was doing relaxation instinctively and thus kind of had that experience of going into, she was considered a anagami, Deepama was considered. So that could be the reason. That is what my teacher used to say, because he has done this for 20 years, 22 years, and I have never done it, so I cannot know. Yes?
Bhante, how does Buddha differentiate between mind, brain, and soul? Is there any?
So the mind is something which is not equal to the brain, okay? So that is very clear. There is one Ajahn Brahm, he was very insistent on saying that brain is not mind and mind does not reside in the brain, because he found a medical case where there was an Oxford student. He was an average student, but he could hardly kind of get into the Oxford, so he was an average student, but he had some problem. He went for a CT scan. When they went to a CT scan, he did not have any brain. He had just this part, like this, a small part was there. Over here in the small, which is called the lizard brain, which is there, that was there. But he was functioning normally, he was able to do exams, he was able to study. And the whole of the skull was filled with some kind of liquid. So he did not have a brain. But he was able to have consciousness, he was able to do things. So Ajahn Brahm was kind of very much insisting that no, brain and mind are completely different things. So that is one way of looking at it. And another way is, one of the suttas which I read is, I think Ananda asked the Buddha that where is the brain? Is it in the in the body? So he said, you cannot say that. Is it outside the body? He cannot say that. Is it inside and outside of the body? No, you cannot. It is neither inside nor outside, so he said we cannot say that. So he did not speculate about the mind. But we have experience of mind, and we work with mind. So knowing where mind is not important. So that is what Buddha did not answer certain questions which was not helpful in the practice.
Is there anything related to soul?
That is there. No, we are saying that anatta is that the permanent and nothing can be permanent. That is the concept, and we examine where we can examine. We examine with the body. Is the body permanent? It is not. Is the feeling permanent? No. Is the perception permanent? Is the thoughts or the sankharas permanent? No. Is the consciousness permanent? No, because consciousness requires something to be there. The other thing is also required, say, when we are tomorrow maybe I'll take one more sutta on dependent origination, okay, where this kind of things are very more clear. It is a little long sutta. Next 3 days there will be a long suttas, okay, but there is a lot of information. Whatever you can gain, you gain. Whatever you can discard, you discard, or whatever does not stick, don't worry about it. There's a lot of information, okay. So I'll take one more sutta on dependent origination, and there is one other sutta which is there, which has eightfold path into that eightfold path. I'll go through the eightfold path at that point of time.
So are the mind and soul interrelated?
No, the thing is, the Buddha is not giving any categorical answers. What the Buddha is saying is kind of investigate and find out. Because it is not an informational thing, it is an experiential thing. What is experiential cannot be informed. So you have to experience this and see. So he is giving certain modalities of investigation. Investigation of this is not me, this is not my, this is not myself, is a modality of saying that is it this is mine, is this thought mine, all those things which are there is a way of examining the reality. But he is not giving the answers of reality, he is giving the process, and that process we have to follow. Okay? Yes?
Could you say the mind is the soul's karma?
No.
But in Taiwan they call Amitabha Buddha, who is basically Amitabha Buddha.
See, I am not sure, but I think certain people speculate that the Maitreya Buddha which is there is what they know as Amitabha Buddha, because they say that they are in Pure Land. Now, Pure Land is very similar to the Anagami space, Brahma Loka. Okay? So where people go there and then they will become awakened. So they kind of have a concept that you have to kind of remember Amitabha. So Amitabha, you go to Amitabha Pure Land, and in the Pure Land you will get awakened. But it is very similar to what has been explained for a Anagami Brahmaloka. There are, I think, 5 Brahmalokas of Anagami where somebody can be born. If it is born for a short period, then they stay there for there. If it is for a medium period, then there is a long period. If it is a person is or a being is staying there for a long period, then they go through all the 5 Brahmaloka. And then if they can become Arahant, then stay in the Brahmaloka also forever. That is the concept of Naga, which we kind of say. They are awakened in that, and they still have some access to earth. They can come to earth and they can kind of have some influence over here. So because they are Arahants, but there's some time is remaining for them, so they can have some influence. So that is why we are kind of invoking their good karma or something like that. So, but Amitabha is a different concept. Yes? Ajan? Ajan Anand, ha. That the Vap Jan. Ha.
So there, they went there, and puja was going on and thinking about it there. Some people were doing, that is Avalokiteshvara.
No. I am not sure they would do that.
Is also there inside.
Okay. Venerable, can you kind of say there is an Avalokiteshvara temple in Vatprajna? Okay. So I am not aware of that. Okay.
It was a little bit controversial at first because it's a Thai monastery, a Theravada monastery, but eventually the head of the Ajahn Chah Sangha said yes, it's okay. And so the person who wanted it to be installed there was allowed to have their wish, and so there is that shrine installed.
Okay, that I was not aware. Okay. So yeah, maybe somebody had a wish to have that temple over there, so they may have done that because some of the groups from Taiwan give money to have the Queen Yan kind of statues. I think they are also that is also considered to be a bodhisattva or something like that. I am not sure, but I've seen, huh?
Which
Queen
temple particularly pronounced?
Queen Yan, I think so.
Vedam has told.
Huh?
It's the same one, Guinea.
Let
Guinea is the same
Huh.
Chinese Taiwan name for the Avalokiteshvara.
Avalokiteshvara name is Queen Yan.
Guinea in Chinese, Japanese,
Okay.
same GYUNYI.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
Okay. So that is the, I think, there is a kind of a force, or there is a group which is wanting them to be installed. I think they found it to be not in contradiction. That's the reason they were. So I will kind of